My name is Lisa MacTaggart. I am a registered landscape architect with a seal, which means that I have the ability to submit drawings and applications to municipalities for site plan approval and construction purposes. I have been a landscape architect since March of 2000. I graduated way back in 1991 from the University of Toronto with a Bachelor of Landscape Architecture. So my advice to a potential landscape architect is to really focus in on finding out what skills you need to have and try to get as many of them as possible and seek out as many opportunities to get them. And if they don't come in the program that you choose, the university program, if that's missing, so the drawing component is not there, fill your electives, take fine art skills, take an evening class. Based on my experience, I would recommend that high school students try to get a huge breadth of experience and really learn as much as you can about just about everything, because in landscape architecture there's science, there's social science, how people live in places, there's cultural history, how plants grow, how water behaves, what the weather's like. I need them to have a really good command of a basic toolbox of skills. So being able to use Autocad, being able to communicate ideas or changes to the drawings or observations from sites, and being able to consolidate those in a way that we can share them with others. So you need to be able to not be struggling with the tools that we use, whether that's a pen and ink or a typewriter or a CAD software or an Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. You have to have a basic competency in all those materials so that you're not limited to one or the other, but can freely switch and quickly switch and have the ability to know which is the best tool to use in that case. And then the next biggest step for when you're a landscape architect is, I see this out there, and then in my mind I see that. And how then do you take that comes to here, and then this goes to here, and then I put this back down here so that someone else can take it and put it out there. And that skill is really a skill in and of itself. And unless you fully understand how to construct it as a narrative, then you don't do it very well. Solutions. And then there's this sort of artfulness that you sometimes find when you've got all of this information layered over and over. Tracing paper here that you build it up, and you start to see a picture starts to emerge that becomes your analysis. And then when you ask yourself, so what, it starts to become a design. And it actually sometimes the solution to the problem statement emerges simply through my hand. Your hand solves it, because your brain can't keep thinking of all these things and keep it all down. And there's an editing process that you layer a piece of tracing paper down and you draw what it is you like again, and you don't draw what you didn't like again. It's down in the layers, maybe 7 down at this point in time, and you strip out all of the chaff. You get it out of your head and away, and you just keep bringing up the solution here. So understanding how to construct a drawing, either by hand or in the computer, would teach you that objects that are higher up and bigger get drawn in darker lines. Now this one. And so again, here's a section drawing of the typical conditions along the trail and the space that would require to make it passable for others. And then there's a lot of three-dimensional drawings of what the trail would look like. And so this document is actually so that the public knows what the trail is going to look like. So they have to be easily understandable. And you also actually have to be able to run Word really well. So don't get the margins and the tabs and the numbering all screwed up. And that is not a skill that I can afford to pay you to acquire. You have to come with that skill. And if you realize there's a skill you need, you have to take the initiative to get it, or else I can't afford to keep you there. And I'm going to keep the other person that did.
Yeah. So
well, we could accept maybe drawings taking 2 days to do the first time, but the next time you get a drawing like that, it needs to take a little less than that. And if there's no continuous improvement because you're struggling with AutoCAD software, or you're struggling with understanding how to do grading, or we have to see an improvement, or we have to let you go. Tools you need to communicate. And those tools are writing and drawing, listening, so that you truly hear what someone else is saying to you. And that's not a skill that's easy to acquire. And it's absolutely essential that you have it. When someone tells you what's wrong with their back garden, you have to listen to what it is they're really saying. And sometimes she is saying something different from he. And you have to hear that. Like this. And so what I have to do is tease out what it is that they don't like and define what the problem is. The only way to learn about it and fully understand what was going on was to draw it. Because drawing it means that you look at it. And when you look at something carefully enough to represent it physically, then you've seen it.